Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakin that's out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Bracha Dum. So, prophesying the downfall of America, Babylon the Great, Basra in the scriptures, also known as the Great Harlot, the Great Whore. And just all these nations rising against nations and these kingdoms against kingdoms. And, well, what's happening? We're hearing wars and rumors of wars, and we're seeing the famines, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. We're seeing the famines hit everything because earlier this year, a lot of crops didn't get planted because of all the storms, all this unusual weather, which had ruined a lot of crops. And then recently the PG&E had cut everyone's power, but yet the wildfires still continue. But are they really wildfires? You got to question this thing, because why are the trees still there, but yet these cars are melted, these poles are melted, but yet the trees are still standing. A lot of the brush is still standing, but these homes are ravaged, they're destroyed. It's because it's not really a wildfire now, is it? No, man, these are atomic energy weapons brought to you by the Rothschilds, PG&E, who the Rothschilds actually owns, are the ones that are setting the fires, just like they did here with the car fire last year, and the Delta fire, and, don't forget Hers fire, all going on. The Delta fire being the last of those, but they were all going on at the same time. You look on the map, they were all strategically connected. And why? Because, of course, those that want to run to the hills when martial law comes to town won't be able to escape because all the trees would be burned, which is the main reason for the car fire and all those other fires. But also to just pretty much, destroy Keswick, man. Keswick, there ain't nothing left there. No, and they haven't rebuilt yet, even though you see these, we will rebuild, red and strong, and, the TV told you to support the firefighters. Well, not that I have anything against them, but nonetheless, they're working with your government agencies. Absolutely they are. Make sure where the fire goes next. Because how do you explain this? On Tuesday, you had all those fire departments from all those counties fighting this fire, but all of a sudden by Friday, it had spread. It had spread everywhere. How do you explain that? And National Guard was already called in, and they were going to door, evacuating people. Businesses closed because of the smoke. I went out here and taught wearing a mask, and was pretty close to getting evacuated. And now, what's this all about? You and I both know that now that the United States has officially attacked Iran, by firing at their tank, you're hoping that Iran will actually respond militarily, right? Because Iran did say, though, that any aggression there would lead out to all-out war. So the United States decided, okay, well, we'll just fire on their tanker now, because they set up a false flag a few months ago in the Strait of Hormuz saying that Iran had fired at one of their tankers. So you see what I'm saying? Even though there was no evidence to prove that. But this time there actually is evidence to prove that missiles were fired at one of Iran's oil tankers. And of course, this is all because they're saying that it was Iran, not the people of Yemen, not the government of Yemen, that actually attacked the Saudi oil fields. That it had to be Iran. It's got to be Iran, because Iran is a political enemy of theirs, because they, of course, since the Islamic Revolution in 1979, have been a thorn in Esau's side, have been anti-Zionist and have been leading a whole movement against these had created an anti-Zionist movement, And all the countries that were anti-Zionist, all of a sudden, during the 2011 so-called Arab Spring, all of a sudden were destroyed. I wonder why that is. And you got to also give credit to the false flag of 9/11, right? Because, of course, that led to the war of terror, right? But yet, the actual terrorists that perpetrated this within our own government, yet could not explain building number 7. That building number 7, there was no jet field there. There was no planes that hit building number 7, yet that was brought to the very ground. Even John Kerry had admitted that it was a cover-up. Of course, car fire was a cover-up. Big time cover-up, And, you know, there are those that question the official story on that, you know. Most people know that it wasn't a tire on a trailer that caused the fire. You know, not everybody's docile. It's just old fucks that really just sit there and they're going to believe everything they see on ABC and fucking CBS, 60 Minutes or Nightline or whatever. Well, wait a minute, they don't even have Nightline anymore. What is it, The View? They believe everything that they see on TV, but not everybody's that docile. They want us to be that docile. That's why they put these jokes in cartoons. Like the latest South Park cartoon, that's another one that's like The Simpsons. They show you a lot of cookies. They show you what's going on. And, Cartman refuses to get a vaccine shot. And they make fun of us because of the fact that, we know that what the vaccines are doing. That causes autism. Well, South Park's making fun of all that. Just like Simpsons does. In the Simpsons cartoon, it showed the assassination of Donald Trump, when he was the president. But you and I both know, though, this is all dog and pony shows. This is the bread and circuses, But, Esau puts it right out there, so that way you can just say, well, you just watch too much TV, or you can't believe everything is on the internet. But most people turn to this internet, this unicorn, to hear this truth. I mean, that's how this really became a springboard. I had no way of getting to New York or to Toronto, where I first saw Great Millstone. I had no way of getting there. But by way of this word and hearing about it, and doing my research, after Rakal Kadash had woken me up to the fact that, man, those Zionists over there claiming to be Jews, those are not the real Jews. The real Jews are actually here. What Esau likes to call black people. And then I did my research, found Great Millstone in Toronto. But if it wasn't for this unicorn, I wouldn't have even been able to do that. And that's why the Rothschilds wish that they had never created it. Because people are finding out this truth, and this truth is hurting them, so they can't deceive us with that web of Christianity anymore, nor that image of Caesar Borgia, or any of the things that it taught. You love everybody, because they take scriptures like love thy neighbor as thyself, which is talking about your Israelite neighbor, those that are in the truth. The 2/3, then, nah, man. No, you ain't to love them, man. You got to despise the things that Yahweh despises. That's why he's going to destroy this place. He's going to destroy the sinners that are out of it. Who are the sinners? The 2/3. He's going to destroy this place. And it is coming quick. This place is being destroyed financially. They're talking about more bailouts, and they're talking more about more shutdowns. That this PG&E power cutoff is just going to be a regular thing now. So lights out, motherfuckers. Yeah. You know why? Because they could start setting fires at night. Nobody would see them, right? They would just be going in the forest and fucking lighting these sons of bitches up. But they're going to make you believe that, it was a truck that crashed into something that caused that fire, or whatever. Nah, man. And I'll tell you something else, though. I've been watching shit here. You can see it in almost every town. Whenever you see a bunch of PG&E trucks or fire trucks all in one place at one hotel, they're up to something. And I seen them here a few months ago, all gathered up. But there was no wildfires going on. No, man. But they were here. Of course, they were practicing. And don't forget that one fire that they had in the Jones Valley area, though. And they evacuated more people than what the fire had caused, So, yeah, man, they've been planning this for a long time. It's a well thought of plan brought to you by the Rothschilds. FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. They're planning stuff. While they have officially attacked Iran. Because war's breaking out over there, they got to have the UN Army after next over here. So that's it. Because he's ordered even more troops into Saudi Arabia, and of course, all those other troops are supposedly going to Iraq. Nah. Gomer had the go-ahead by the United States anyways. They only want you to think, though, that, officially the United States got attacked, and that, because they're going to pretend to be friends with the Kurds, even though the United States has screwed the Kurds on so many times. The Kurds are somebody that they can exploit, as they did so many times. They did it in Iraq, and they've done it over here in Syria, and they're going to continue to do this, But most people don't believe them anyways, The United States has no right to be in Syria or in Iraq anyways. That's not their territory, but you see, Esau don't keep at home, he never does keep it home because his home technically is Petra. That's where he should be. But no, man, he's stolen land from everyone, and they are now starting to take it back. All these places that he's gone into, like South Africa, they wanted to take it back. You don't belong here. Even the sons of Japheth, Samoans, oh, they're pretty pissed off at Esau in Hawaii. He don't belong there. No, man, Esau just can't stay at home. It's got to be in everybody's business, right? If you know something, say something. Even Janet Napolitano, after she retired from the UN, which these people don't, she's just not in that position in the UN. Man, she ain't, she ain't retired, aka FEMA manager. She went to the college here in Shasta County to get everybody, if you know something, say something, who had named Walmart one of the main places of FEMA, that they're working close with FEMA. And then during Jane Helm, they closed down those Walmarts because, of course, those are going to be your FEMA camps, He's closed down Walmarts, he's closed down Kmart's. And, hey, Kmart here in Redding already became a FEMA, relocation center for FEMA, to sign up. So you can be relocated forever. You can check in any time, but you can never leave. And, yeah, there are people docile enough to do it, obviously, because those people in Keswick, they have nothing left. They have nothing left. They're fucking broke, And, same thing with Paradise. Most of that traffic came into Chico, over by the Kmart where I taught once, because that's the only Kmart that we have in the northern state, that's at least nearby to Redding anyways, about an hour away to go to Kmart, when it used to be right here in town, and you can't find a Sears anywhere. The mirth of this place is gone. The only jobs that you're really going to get, if you're looking for quick employment, well, you could try the fast food places, if it'll last. Shit, Hometown Buffet, they just closed without warning, and they're still closing down in the Bay Area, too. And so even fast food, nope. Maybe if you work for Grubhub, or you work for, Uber, because that's about the only jobs you're going to find. You have to have an A-class license to drive trucks, but then that truck is programmed to shut down because it's all in the digital system, pretty much. So, you could have been in traffic for 2 or 3 hours, but then your truck shuts down anyways after 8 hours of driving. But if you have 2 or 3 hours, so you're going to be late, and that system is shut down. You're in a forced shutdown. You can't power your truck on, so you're stuck. And many people are walking away from that, I don't want to be a truck driver with those kind of conditions. The whole thing is bullshit, just like the power getting cut off. It's all bullshit, and it's all bad for you, No, man, this devil had a plan well thought of, and, more places in L.A. are getting burned, And, of course, there's no containment there. Maybe a little containment. I don't live in that area. Nonetheless, though, does that stop us from going to camp? No, man. L.A. camp was very live and active, because it's the outskirts of L.A. But nonetheless, though, I'm sure the smoke is hitting L.A., Just like we had here in Redding, man. The smoke hit downtown Redding, And I wore a mask and still taught anyways, Even though the air was unsafe to breathe for at least 3 weeks. But the air is unsafe to breathe anyways. Look at all the goddamn chemtrails. So we know we're being poisoned. But the Most High is going to protect us, elect. That's who he died for, And he's going to destroy this place and the sinners out of it, Those that pretty much are not going to take heed to this, that have seducing spirits and just going to follow, follow that line. So, read out of Matthew chapter 24, starting verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. They're bringing the guillotines back to these prison systems. And that they're going to be using the guillotines for those that refuse to take the mark. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened, because the chariots will be coming. Once the mark of the beast is made mandatory, it ain't going to be long after that there will be a rescue. He's going to rescue his elect. There, if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Yahushai, or here or there, believe it or not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, Christianity is a false Christ. It's a false religion. And, of course, you got many of these bootleg camps that are false, prophets. And shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, And I'm not talking about Benny Hinn and all that crap, that garbage. No, I'm talking about those that are actually out there prophesying that have a few know about things, but then are going to deceive you and to tell you that, you can take the microchip. They'll tell you the things like, no, he wasn't a so-called white man. But then they'll tell you that the mark of the beast is Christianity, and that even old prophets had the mark of the beast. Yeah, that's what General Johannes says. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if you say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it or not. They actually have a Project Bluebeam. Where they're going to show the image of Caesar Borgia, to these stupid Christians that believe that that's the image of the Most High, even though Revelation chapter 1 clearly states that it's not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Again, pretty much, though, this big chariot, as well as all them other chariots, is going to cover the whole land. Just like they show you in that movie, Independence Day. For wheresoever the carcass is, which is the country, there will the eagles be gathered together, So pretty much, though, he's going to gather his elect. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. That's talking about them thermonuclear missiles, them ICBMs. And the powers of heaven shall be shaken. This whole place is going to be destroyed. It's going to be made desolate, John saw it as a lake of fire, because that's what this place will be. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, because he's going to be on that huge chariot, And these Edomites, man, they're going to be, astounded, because they're going to, they won't even know that's the Messiah, because they've always believed Caesar Borgia is the Messiah. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven, which are them chariots, with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. So you're going to hear this trumpet blow, and all these chariots are going to come, and gather his elect from the four winds of the earth, from one end of heaven to the other. So he's going to gather his elect, those that have endured. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and peereth forth leaves, ye shall know the summer is nigh. So likewise you, when you hear, shall see these things, which we're seeing all these things now, know that it is there even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all things shall be fulfilled. Again, we're still seeing a lot of prophecy getting fulfilled. The more that we speak it, the more it becomes, because we're the mouthpiece of the Most High. That's why you're starting to see chariots pop up everywhere. We've been prophesying for quite a while. Man, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone have been prophesying well over 30 years, And we've seen a lot of things, man. They tried to accuse us, And I say us as a nation as a whole, I'm not Apostle Dahar or, Apostle Gabar or any of them, but, they tried to accuse us as a nation, because we're a people before we actually have the land. So, they tried to accuse us of having something to do with 9/11. And our apostles were arrested for at least 3 weeks. But, like everything else, though, of course, they had nothing to do with 9/11. But you see, that's just it. They're labeling us as a black extremist group. Even though you see a lot of people like me pop up that don't even have any pigment on their skin. I'm a clean leper, Because, of course, I'm an Israelite foreigner. Shit, we're all Israelite foreigners. We're not in a land, so therefore we're a foreigner. We're from other lands. So we're going to look like those people of the lands, So I just so happen to look like, an Edomite, if you will. But I'm not an Edomite. Does an Edomite prophesy the downfall of his people? Or is that an Israelite prophesying? That's the real test. Can Esau receive this prophecy and go out there and prophesy and actually be accurate with it? Or is he going to put his own twist on things? Let's just look into the characteristics of Esau. Then you'll know. Because you always tell by the spirit of who's teaching. That's how you know whether there's been a prophet among you or there's been a deceiver among you. So this thing has never been about looks. Even though, yes, we'll tell you that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Israelites. But not all Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are going to receive this. And it's not really about look, because of course we're not going to look like that anymore. We're Israelite foreigners. Yeah, you got a lot of our people that look like Southeast, like they come from Southeast Asia. Well, yeah, they were born in Southeast Asia. Duh. That's just it. This prophecy has gone out everywhere, and we're a scattered sheep, we're a speckled bird, and we've spread our seed worldwide, so we're not going to look like ourselves anymore. We're going to start looking like the other nations. We're all Israelite foreigners because, we did flee into the mountains. A lot of us, some of us had went the other direction. That's how we conquered Europe during what they like to call the Dark Ages. So, we've been in many lands. And like everything else, though, we have been awakened. The Spirit has awoken us as to who we are. And Esau doesn't have really much now, except to just bring it out, show the devil, show pretty much his horns. And that's why, he's been exposed on everything. Because the prophecy said that he has made Esau bare. He's uncovered his secret places. Illuminati is a household name now. Rothschild is a household name now. That's why they have your dumb dick-sucking bum politicians like Donald Trump out there, sucking the cock of ninja Benjamin, not a Jew, and pretty much just doing whatever Amalek says, even though there's no evidence to prove that Iran has a nuclear weapon, but yeah, they're making war against Iran. That's because these Amalekites are the ones that are starting this war, the least of the flock, drawing everybody into this war.
You mean Amalekites?
Huh? Yeah, Amalekites. Those ones that are claiming to be Jewish. The so-called Jews, which are really the Rothschilds. Your bankers. They run everything. They're the ones that are starting this war. And pretty much it's going to lead to the entire military, which is now being sent overseas. And they're starting the wars. They started the war in Syria.
Sparta! You thought for sure I was going to kick it.
Nah. Either way, though, they've started this war. And pretty much, though, that's why the PG&E has been cutting off power to everyone, because, of course, they said it was because of wildfire. But they didn't cut the power 6 or 8 months ago when the brush from all that windstorm, which they have the HARP weapon. Of course they use these new weapons. They've been using it in Iraq and Syria and Yemen for a long time. Weather warfare, all that stuff. I mean, you're going to tell me that it's normal that there's snow in Damascus? Snow in Damascus. That's never been heard of, but they have these things. They show you that in their cartoons. They call it predictive programming. They have all these things. And yet, you're starting to see things happen. Now they're saying that they're going to cut off power almost every time, whenever they want to. Because they're showing their hand now. Pretty much, though, you could expect it to be a regular thing. And eventually, Reading Utility Company will be doing the same thing. Of course, because look at how fast the car fire had started. It just started on a Tuesday. But you had all those fire departments there. They were already there before the thing got started. And then, all of a sudden, by Friday, smoke had covered the city of Reading. And pretty much, now that the National Guard has been called in, they're going door to door, yet trees are still standing, and yet these houses are burnt to a crisp and melted. How do you explain that one? Was it really? And I saw the trailer with a blown tire. Brand new trailer, no burn marks whatsoever. Brand new trailer. And yet all it was a blown tire. It looked like a brand new tire that had been blown. But that's what the news footage wanted us to believe. Yeah, I could believe that. And for a while I might have. Because I didn't see this until maybe about 2 or 3 weeks into this thing. And I'm like, oh, so that's the tire that supposedly has set all these fires. Yet, and it was supposed to be going at a speed, right? Okay, now you know as well as I do that a truck, even if it's an F-350 pulling one of those things, that if that thing is already got, it's going to start swerving out of control, right? Then why wasn't there any damage to that truck either? It's because that's not what really started the fire. And not to mention, if you look at Highway 299, where all the brushes are, because that's where they said it was coming from, coming downhill and starting the sparks, that's mostly gravel on the side. Yeah, there's a little bit there, but pretty much, though. You see, that's just it, though. They have their media, and they've been lying to us about everything, you know. They've lied to us about the war on terrorism.
Love comes rushing in. Bro.
Huh?
Like flooding waters. When your love comes rushing in. Like flooding rain. Or like a fountain of fire.
And that's what they wanted us to believe, though, is that pretty much, though, that, you know, it was supposed to be a trailer that had caught the fire. Or that, you know, Osama bin Laden is the one that, but yet, we saw Saddam Hussein get killed by the people. We've seen the leader of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, get killed, but there was no body of Osama bin Laden, even though that's the boogeyman that they wanted us to believe had caused the 9/11 attacks. Yet, there was an Illuminati card game that said terrorist nuke, and it shows the buildings coming down, you know, the 1996 Illuminati card game. And then you have even old footage of WWF saying the Twin Towers would come coming down. They put this in predictive programming for a reason. They had a reason for this. So they started the war of terror, and yet they would be looking for somebody. Remember that, you know, old interview on, you know, the guy from Trading Places that did the movie Trading Places? Talked to Alex Jones and said that they would be looking for a guy in a case, but they wouldn't be able to find him, and this war would just go on. They'd be looking for him, and they were going to go into many places, you know, but yet they would never find him. But then all of a sudden, conveniently, oh, now they found him. They couldn't catch him all those times before, even though they had destroyed Iraq, they had gone in and destroyed Afghanistan, which is really about taking the drugs from the Russians, the poppy fields, you know, so that way they could take that. So that's why you're seeing all these other things pop off, and they want the war with Iran because, of course, you know, it's all about the oil. It's always been about the oil. And these Rothschilds know it. You know, that's always been their power structure, you know. Iran used to be a part of that until the coup d'etat of 1953. But then, after that coup d'etat, 1979 came the Islamic Revolution. And ever since then...
God, yeah, I'm gonna live for God, yeah. I'm gonna live for God, yeah, 'cause this is America. I'm gonna live for God, yeah.
Well, you know that America is Babylon the Great, right?
Say that again?
You know that America is Babylon the Great in the scriptures, right? Pretty much, because it's the kingdom. It's the main kingdom that would be here before World War III would break out.
No, I don't want people to see that right now, would you?
Huh?
What would you want people to see? Hellfire?
Hellfire, now see, hellfire is a condition. Now the fire, there is fire from the ICBMs, aka Lake of Fire. That's when this place gets ignited by 200 million nuclear missiles. Russia has them, and all the other nations have them. Of course America has them, we know that. And like everything else though, what's going to spark this is when they go into Iran, which they're very close to doing so. And then all the other nations are going to turn on America. That's why you're seeing Gomer, which is also known as Turkey, turning on America. Because all these other nations have consulted together with one another. Very similar to how they took down the 12 tribes of Israel.
Relative to how they took down the 12 tribes. Goodbye to the creation when you said, slide through, high through, do I do the things that I want to do. Maybe it'd be better if you weren't looking at the camera, buddy. What do you got to say?
Huh?
National News World Broadcasting System.
Oh, well, we know that the Rothschilds control all that, except for the alternative media. You do have alternative media like AMTV, InfoWars. They got rid of him because he started pointing out obvious things. So pretty much it's the witchcraft, it's the Illuminati of things, you know. We are what they want us to think that they are.
You thought the Illuminati was a bad thing?
Well, the Illuminati, you know what that means? It means light bearer. You know, those that bear light. You know, just like Lucifer is not a name of Satan.
Don't let the devil ever get you down. No. Let your light shine down. Don't let the devil ever get you down. Like a fountain of fire. No. Yeah. They'll be like, but you look kind of malnourished already. And then I'd be like, but you said light child. So don't let the devil ever get you down. That's really me, dude.
Yeah. So, with that, I hope all this has been enlightening. And until next time, Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rukakadash, Wa Abal Babal,
And
Braka Them
Shandala,
Jehovah.
Lord Jesus.